introductions before I share my screen. My name is Cynthia Pereda. I am the director for the National Applied AI Consortium. And with me, I have Eduardo Salcedo and Ann Beheeler, and I'll allow them to give a quick intro. Ann?
Oh, you want us to do it? Okay. My name is Ann Beheeler. I have been the person behind organizing the BELT model and the National Applied AI Consortium BELT that did actually create the KSAs we're talking about today. And we will be updating them annually. First year it took us a little while to get it done, but we will be doing this for you annually since our area is changing so rapidly.
Eduardo?
Hi, I'm Eduardo Salcedo. I'm a faculty for Miami-Dade College in Miami, Florida, and I'm the principal investigator for the National Applied AI Consortium. Whatever you need, we're the people to ask. Please come with questions. After the presentation, we expect to have plenty of time for you to have questions about what we're going to present. So write them down as we go, and welcome.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna go ahead, and so I am sharing my screen. So I'm sure you're all super excited to get started. We are, and we're just as excited to share with you all the first ever National AI Knowledge and Skills for Applied AI degree. Like Ann mentioned, we have been working on this for quite some time, so this is a very proud project that we're releasing. And if my screen would, okay, great. So the agenda for today, we had some quick welcome, and then we'll go into our NIC build members, the overview of the KSA review process, the suggested KSAs for AI, and possible ways of how to use this. Like, how can you actually implement this at your institutions, and who can benefit from them? And then next steps and questions and answers. So I'm sure many of you already know who NIC is. If you don't, we are the National Consortium for AI, and our goals we're already closing out year one. And one of our biggest goals was to be able to complete these national KSAs, as well as put together a national community of practice for AI. And I will give you some quick results of everything that we've been able to do in year one. We've been able to put together our national business industry leadership team, and that consists of 23 members right now. It is continuing to grow, and we're always looking for those industry leaders, as well as in different areas, and I'll let Ann touch more on that, but ways that we can really benefit nationally on what is happening today and expected to happen tomorrow in AI, right? So since we know it is ever changing. Then we have, what have we been able to do? One of our biggest metrics as well is to provide the professional development for free to faculty nationwide. Those that are trying to upskill and bring that knowledge to their students in the classroom. So far, we've provided over 10,000 training hours. And I'm proud to say that with closing year one, we've trained over 1,000 faculty already. And the demand is incredible. It's actually getting a little hard to keep up with it. So it's a good problem. It's an exciting problem to have. We've been able to train faculty from across over 200 colleges in the nation. Our biggest, sorry, I keep seeing the admit. We are training faculty in community colleges. We understand the importance of being able to provide access, easy access to those in the community, and those colleges are the ones doing it. Then we have our mentorship. And the year one, we were able to provide mentorship to 3 colleges so that they can start up their AI programs, either it be an associate's degree or a college career certificate program. And this year, we're proud to announce that we did accept 13. So we've definitely been expanding, and that does not mean we're going to stop. So we're trying to work to make sure to be able to keep that growing. And I don't want to take up too much time. And if you don't know, and if you are not subscribed, I'm sure many of you already are, to our newsletter, we are reaching right now over 2,600 individuals via that newsletter. And we try to make sure that it's very fruitful, very engaging, and just pertinent stuff, right? So I'm not going to overwhelm you and bombard your inbox. All righty. And
Okay, I want to thank our business and industry leadership team for the work that they have put in. And we have one of our BUILT members here today. Aaron Burciaga, are you there where you can go on camera and say hello to the group? I know he's
Yeah.
in the meeting. Okay, go
I'm
for
here.
it.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, guys. My name is Aaron Burciaga. I've been with the BUILT or with Ann for a number of years, and it was my pleasure to join you guys. If you haven't already had a chance to look at the article that really spawned a lot of this, or at least spawned my cooperation with Ann and also with Miami-Dade College, it's called Blue Collar AI, and it's a 3-part series that was released by Forbes. Gosh, Ann, how many years ago? 4?
It's been a while.
And what's
It's been a
exciting is
while.
actually I'm working with Presidente Pumariega from Miami-Dade to do a follow-up series on that. Whereas the initial one was, why do we need a blue-collar AI workforce? We're writing about what have the results of that been so far, and then we'll do one in the future about looking back how effective were we or were we not. So look forward to all you guys, because it has made an impact in Miami-Dade, in Miami-Dade County. It's have over 2,000 students enrolled today. And with everyone doing this across the nation, it's not only going to be a great blessing to those families and the communities where they serve, but it's also going to contribute towards our national security. So really excited to be working with you all. And if you ever need anything, please don't fail to reach out. You probably have my contact information in the email, but also Ann would be or Eduardo would be happy to help you with it too. Look forward to helping you guys as we go along. Thanks, Ann.
Thank you for joining us as a representative of the NAEC BUILT today. We appreciate that very much. I want to tell you that all of the members of this elite group of AI people are in fact experts. They are not. Matter of fact, hold on, Jess, I think you're on too, right?
I am on. Thank you,
Oh,
Anne.
Yeah, Jess is from Maricopa Colleges, and she is a brand new member of the NAEC BUILT. I'm very glad that you're here too. I'm sorry, I almost forgot to introduce you.
It's quite all right. No worries. Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here. And I am the newest member and just excited to be part of the team on the industry side, because higher education also hires these individuals. And since I am the CIO of all of Maricopa Community Colleges at the district level, I'm building a brand new AI team, and I would really love to staff it with all of our students.
Great. That's what we like to hear, right? Anyway, what I want to go through today is the process that we use through using the business and industry leadership team model, the BUILT model. Some of you have heard it. If you haven't, reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat box before we're done because I can give you more information on it. We have used the BUILT model for Miami-Dade's program. We're using it now at Houston Community College, and Maricopa is actually involved with it too in various different areas. Anyway, long story short, we're working with true experts in AI to help tell us what they want us to prepare our students to do in the future. And we're focusing on the future, 12 to 36 months in the future, because we educators, unfortunately, are on the slow side. It takes us a while to respond to industry. If we ask them what they want today, and we do ask them that, but if we ask them only that, by the time we're able to respond to it, that's in the rearview mirror, especially in the area of AI. I would say that where we are in AI right now is very much like it was when we first started having internet and networks and all that sort of thing. If you think about it, we take our internet for granted and we want rapid response for everything. But when we started, that was not the case, and there was a lot of chaos in terms of curriculum, etc. at the time. We want to eliminate the chaos, and that's why we have the industry guiding us, and we're glad to have all of you working with us. Next slide. Okay, We started out with the built model, we start out with a pro forma KSA list. It's our best guess at what the skills and knowledge areas will be for the future. And in our case, since we have 3 major college groups working with us, what we had was the competencies from Miami-Dade College's AI program, Houston City College's AI program, AI and robotics there, and Maricopa Community College's AI program. I will tell you that we took all of the competencies across all 3 programs and we eliminated duplicates and we started with that list, plus a few additional knowledge and skill items that we all knew were important for the future. I want you to remember, though, that there are 3 different foci or focuses of the programs. Miami-Dade's program is a more general applied AI degree. Houston's is more focused on robotics, although it's general also. And then Maricopa's programs are more engineering focused. That will make sense more as we continue on through the story of how we got to what we have that we're going to give you today. Next slide. We held a KSA meeting. It is a very efficient manner for voting on a list of pro forma KSAs and then discussing the results. We held that with the NAAIC built team. We discussed the results of every single item that they did not agree upon. We did not have to discuss items that everybody agreed upon because if they agreed, why do we need to discuss? So as a result of that, some of the items were deleted. They did not think it was appropriate for an AS level degree. Some of the skill items were reclassified to knowledge, thinking that it needed to be more contextual than particularly skills. And then at the very end, probably the most exciting part was we asked them what we missed, what we needed to add, and they actually came up with 10 or 11 different items that they wanted us to add to the list. Next slide. We actually met with faculty, and since the programs are so different, we decided that we should probably focus on presenting all of the results from the built and not focus on how it would map to a particular curriculum. So you're going to see a bit later a whole list of knowledge, skills, and not quite the abilities. We'll be discussing those pretty soon because those are mostly behaviors. You're going to see that, and it's a list of choices. The choices are choices that you can make depending on the focus of your college. If you want to focus on robotics, anything that's leaning toward robotics, you would pick and choose on your side. If you didn't, if you wanted to be more general, you might not include some of those items. You are not expected to implement every single one of the knowledge and skills items. And of course, we all know the KSAs are changing really, really rapidly. I would probably say at least monthly, but it's really really faster than that. Next slide. Okay, the KSA list that is presented was presented to the belt members for discussion. They briefly went through them and gave us some rewording. They talked about whether they agreed on all of the additions and to the list. And we also discussed publishing plans with them. Next slide. Now, is it going for? There we go. Eduardo, it's over to you because you're going to present the KSA document. And I'd like to thank Cynthia for all her work in formatting this document. It's a very nice document that you're going to be able to download today and use at your college. Eduardo?
Thank you, Anne and Cynthia. I put on the chat 2 links, one for the newsletter if you haven't subscribed yet, and the other one for the resources page where you're going to be able to find this document. Once you register, you'll be able to download it and use it as you will. So the purpose of me speaking about it is just to present it. It is a base. This should be your baseline, as Anne said, to start with a program, to change the program, to see what things all these experts in AI and industry say are important for an associate's degree in terms of like practical skills. You'll see all the information about the consortium, the build members, who they are, where they work, what KSAs are, what the development process that Anne mentioned is on in words. And there will be an opportunity later for you to learn more about the build, by the way. What it is that you need to know if you're in community colleges or in industry or government. And here they are. So we separated these into Ks and and Ss. No As yet because of the behavioral piece that Anne said. And so you'll find them all grouped in the best way we were able to put them together. The order is not important, it's not significant. So we said foundations of AI and data, we have 12 knowledge pieces that our build team said are important. Then two, we just have to put them in some sort of order so then we can discuss, well, K47, project management. What do we do with that? And so that we can all be on the same page. So the Ks are all together. You'll see this later on. And then the skills also in there. Same thing, no particular order. We just grouped them the best possible way we could because they're so broad. And not all of these are going to be, as Anne said, meaningful for your particular context or, degree. But it's a good place for us to start off the conversation in terms of creating or modifying our degrees or certificates. And that's one of our MDC students in there as photos. She's wonderful. Anyway, she's there. We always like to talk about our students. So the last page shows how to get in contact with us directly if you don't use the website, who the leadership team is in terms of colleges. And the website is all the way at the bottom, although I put it on the chat as well. We hope for you to be able to use this document in a meaningful way and also to, bring in pieces that you've used or how you've modified this to fit your institution in the nearby future. That is it for me.
I think this one's yours, Eduardo.
Oh, yeah.
How
Oh,
to
that's
use how to use what they now have.
true. So in the document, it's explicit in terms of this, but we are separated in terms of how to use it in a college environment. And so, the other two. But like I said, it is a starting point for you to develop your own coursework and degrees, and something that you can bring to your own local or regional employers that will use the skills that your students have gained through your degree so that they can modify it to fit what's more localized or regional. And so this will help you not just say, well, I want to create an AI degree and that's that. You have the backing of several industry leaders in the US that say these things are important. So it's not just anybody that's saying, right? It's not just the college faculty saying this is important. This is the industry that's pushing, saying this is what's important at this point in time. So you have leverage.
Yeah, Eduardo, mind if I kind of build something onto that? Because I think that's a really great point. Like Eduardo said, there's been a bumper crop of schools that have tried to build an AI degree, or at least before that, analytics. And oftentimes those people focus on the wrong things, especially they focus on the wrong things when it comes down to what our college graduates going to be able to do with an associate's or about bachelor's degree. And so dealing with the industry experts, my friends, what we're able to do is really say, what do we really expect someone coming out with an associate's or with a bachelor's to be able to do effectively in their first year? So it's not just a bumper crop idea or based on any one company's bias, but on a community's view as to what we can do with a recent graduate. Any questions on that?
No. Yeah. Thank you, Aaron, for that.
And Eduardo, it's very important that we listen to our employers. The whole principle of the built model is we listen to employers first rather than going with our own devices, because after all, we in education are busy teaching people. We're busy. We're trying to keep up, but the ones in industry are the ones that are going to hire our graduates, and we need to listen to what they want. And I am finding, as I work with other colleges across the nation, that in fact, some colleges, especially in smaller rural areas, don't need the whole 9 yards of what we put together. They only need a portion of it. They only want a certificate. And there's all sorts of different needs for particular areas of the country. I'm going to finish up with this next slide, which talks about what companies and AI professionals might do with the list. It's very interesting that companies are oftentimes trying to figure out what to do with AI, especially if they're not the giant companies that we're working with. And of course, we've got small, medium, and large companies that we work with. The KSA list gives them a direct channel to education, a way to dialogue with us, and the input actually shapes the future people that they can hire from our institutions. And if they engage in a built model, either locally at the colleges that are close to them or with us, then they're able to influence educational programs to provide better employer-ready graduates. And that's our desire and their desire. When I graduated from college, I won't say what company, it was a big company, wanted to put me through a 6-month training program, pay my salary, pay for training, pay for me to live out of town for 6 months. That doesn't happen much anymore at all. Anything we can do to minimize on-the-job training for a new employee is very, very important to companies. Governments are looking too. They want to have a KSA framework that provides a scalable model for workforce preparation. No doubt the need for AI professionals is much bigger than we can fill quite yet, because most of us are still in the ginning up phase. And then it also helps inform, and I know the NSF appreciates this, it helps inform them regarding their investments in AI. And the KSAs assure the colleges and the governmental institution that the dollars that are invested are along the lines of what industry needs. I hope that made some good sense to you. Any questions about that? Next slide then. I told you that our KSAs are changing very, very rapidly. We're going to have a trends meeting later this fall with the National Applied AI Consortium. We will be discussing specifics of agentic AI. It's mentioned in this list, but it's not mentioned in any kind of great detail. And other content updates that they feel are necessary to change the KSA list. We will be presenting that to you after they have had another voting meeting in the spring, probably very early in the spring. Won't take quite so long for us to get it out to you this year, because we have decided that we can't put together one single list that covers everybody's needs. We will just be providing you what the AI experts said were most important to them. Do we have any questions? Cynthia, what did I leave out?
No, I think you definitely covered everything, and we do have some questions in the chat, so I want to go ahead and bring those up. So Peter did ask, have you used AI to create learning tools that allow for the development of each of these competencies? So when, go ahead, yeah.
Ed, that's yours, and then I can comment. I'm yes and no.
So it depends, right? Aaron, do you want to jump in first?
I think we're not at that point just yet. So at my company, we do help a number of other companies, our clients, our customers, use AI to do a lot of their workforce development, monitor what their employees are having to ask for assistance on, what they are actually learning and implementing and getting better at doing. What are the most frequently asked questions, and what are even new frontiers, new designs of solutions and answers that haven't yet been permuted by their workforce that could be used for more efficient design. That stuff is pretty common in business, or is becoming more common in business, but nothing that we have really even had a data set to apply to yet. So I do imagine that in our next build meetings, we'll be discussing something just like that. So great question, and And I'll even take it as a recommendation that we follow up on it. Okay, Em?
Yeah, I happen to know one faculty member who has used a very, very small number of labs and has managed to use various LLMs, not just one of them, but various LLMs to actually create an entire online course from a very small group of labs that she was pleased with. I think we're on the cutting edge or the bleeding edge at the start of being able to use AI to create our actual curriculum. I will say, though, that I am starting to always use AI to come up with the competencies that need to be taught, because sometimes we haven't actually unearthed some of them, the new ones that are coming out. So anytime I work with a college to decide what kinds of KSAs they want in their area, we start with a list that we know about, but we also always try to use AI to come up with anything new.
And Peter, in terms of on the classroom, we use AI all the time, right? I'm trying to incorporate it in other courses, not just AI related courses, where I suggest to students to use it. I use it in the classroom. And in order to create competencies for courses, I may provide the basis of what we had if we have something and run it through AI to say this is the target, or just say, well, these are the important things that I need to have in my course. Give me some ideas in order to create. So that is happening already. Uh, so as far as learning tools, not so much. We use, generative AI, LLMs, but not so much in terms of in classroom, activities. Maybe some Google tools that are out there, like Notebook LM, are used. Where is oh my gosh, Jerry? Jerry, can you mention how you use in your AI intro course AI tools?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Sure.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Jerry Hensel. I'm one of the mentors this term, and I teach at Valencia College in Orlando. So I was able to basically create 3 different courses, which were computer vision, natural language processing, and machine learning, entirely from scratch, from using different generative AI tools, specifically Claude AI and Google Gemini. Everything from learning materials to podcasts to chatbots, exercises, rubrics, anything that you would think that an instructional designer would do, and even a publisher, I was able to do myself within. It probably took me, I don't know if I was working consistently, maybe a week or a week and a half to develop one course. So the time that we use with that is definitely drastically reduced. Not to mention it saves the cost for students, and you actually get to hit them at different angles as far as learning types as well. So anyways, that's something that we've done, and that's actually available, I think, too, right, Eduardo, through the resources page, that people can download that Canvas shell.
I'm working on it, but it will be available by next week.
Oh, okay, sorry. Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Thank you, Jerry.
Peter also asked, what if the employers don't know yet what skills will be needed? In the built model, there are opportunities for the actual voting meetings with people that really do know what's needed. But then in the trends meetings, I found that it works really well to invite other businesses that may not know yet what's going on, because in the trends meetings, it's usually seeded with some questions that actually elicit what really is happening in the future in the industry. And that helps some of the smaller businesses. As in most of the IT areas, working for a smaller business as an entry-level employee is much, much harder than working for a larger business that has specialized areas where you focus on just one piece of whatever your topic is. So I would not have somebody who doesn't know what they want voting on what the industry wants, but they can participate in the trends meetings and pick up quite a bit of information. And that stands for you too. In your environment, you want to have some subject matter experts to validate our list and pick the particular skills that they want in your area. The ones that don't know what they want yet, I would invite them to the trends meetings. And I haven't said anything about it yet, but in terms of our next steps, I will be creating a video about the built model. We were potentially going to actually schedule another meeting and decided that you have meetings galore. So I'm going to create you a video about the built model, and you can work with me if you don't really know what that was or is. We have, in fact, over 150 colleges nationwide that are now using it to get really, really high engagement from their employers.
Cynthia, there's a question about the registration process.
I just took myself off mic to answer that one. So when you go into our Nike website and you go to resources, you'll be asked to register if you haven't already, and make sure that you are using your EDU email. So that is a requirement. We want to make sure that we're protecting the content that is on there. So use your EDU email, and then you're gonna go and make sure they're gonna send a confirmation email to make sure that it is you and it is a legitimate email. So make sure that you're checking your inbox to approve that. And then at that point, you'll create your login information. And this tool is already available on our resource hub. So I saw another question that I thought was a good one. And could we use this information on our own builds? We are thinking of
Please,
giving credits in that.
please do. That's what it's for. It's meant to shorten your process of working with your industry. I'm very biased about the built model. Sorry about that, but I developed it 20 years ago and I've seen some really cool results from it. But the whole point of the matter is to simplify your work with your industry. And I say the one thing that's really, really important is that you find out what your industry in your area wants. Because if you are training differently from what they want, then those students are going to have more difficulty finding a job.
There's a question on third-party learning resources that I think Jerry answered, but what are your thoughts on supplementing the course with third-party learning resources like Coursera, Google AI training modules, etc., in addition to current AI materials in the courses? So I'll start by saying yes, give them, as much as you can, but there's a wealth of things out there. And so maybe look at what we're offering with the consortium, and you can narrow it down and then go out and ask the people in here. That's why we do the community of practice meetings, so that we can focus a little more, because there's so much and not everything may be relevant. Jerry?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, we're starting to see now publishers get into the market of having not only AI systems, but AI content developed, like, for example, let's say a character that's going to talk about a certain subject, talking about enhanced audio, enhanced video, 4K. So a lot of this actually is being thought of by publishers as well. But like I mentioned in the comments, I don't think it's something for us to wait for them to do for us. We could actually be on the forefront of that and actually experiment and do some things on our own too, which I think is important.
Vincent, you could take yourself off mute and go ahead and ask a question.
Yes, hello. Hi, my name is Vincent Callop. I'm associate professor at Long Beach City College of California. Thank you, Eduardo, for elaborating on that. That was my question in the chat. And Gerald, that's a really, really good strategy. Sometimes when I'm building the AI curriculum at Long Beach, there's just so much and it's working so fast. And so me and my team at Long Beach are always trying to decide, do we go with Google, do we go with Coursera? Or in Gerald's particular case, do we just kind of create our own materials utilizing the large language models, which I would presume that some of these tech companies are probably doing the same things. So, simultaneously. So So yeah, I think that gave me a little more context around that, and I'm always wary on kind of dedicating or focusing my curriculum on one particular tech company. Microsoft Learn has stuff, AWS has stuff, so I just want to make sure that it's fair, a fair market that we're focusing on.
Yeah,
And also,
I
sorry.
think I think what you would do is you would want to look at all of the platforms. Like for example, some of the stuff we use at Valencia College is really a mix of everything. We use Intel content, AWS, Google, Microsoft. So it really depends on really maybe what is used by employers in your area. But you'll find that a lot of the content might be applicable to every platform. But I think it's a good idea to give your students a experience with multiple platforms if you can, just so they can get exposed.
Part of what you would find in the resources is that we've used from several colleges, and soon Jerry's materials will be there. You'll find the syllabus, the schedules, the general makeup of what the courses are. And so you can start there, or you can compare and say, oh, I like that idea, or give us, tips, because we don't own all this, and things change so fast that it'd be great to hear back from you as to what success has been for you.
Joe has a question about a system-wide build. Joe, you need to contact me because you don't start there because starting on a system-wide build is really, really crazy. You would start with one program and then potentially move it beyond. But I'm very happy if you want to contact me. That's fine. I know how to do it, but it's much more complicated than getting one program going. I probably wouldn't start on a system-wide one to start with at all anyway, because getting the agreement across everybody in your system to go forward would potentially make what you're doing out of date by the time you publish it.
And remember that the document presented, right? The KSA is industry telling you, hey, these things are important. Now it's bring that to your own institutions, talk to your faculty, create these new programs, new courses, talk with administration. It's very involved. So a system-wide thing, it involves way more people, and it's harder to,
Much harder.
function. You need the collaboration of everybody, right? Admin, faculty, and of course, industry is collaborating. So if we all get together, it becomes so much better, which is what we're trying to do. Every resource we have here is free. You download if you have an EDU account. We want you to use all of it, piecemeal it. It doesn't have to be exactly as it.
Other questions?
So Joshua, you had a question. Do you want to come off mute and maybe explain a little bit more about your question?
Oh, no, it wasn't a question. It was just a comment that was germane to where we were going with this discussion of vendor platform agnostic approaches, right? And I think this is what we've seen at a couple of places. So I was doing some advising with NASA Vocational Training Center out in Bahrain with the U.S. Department of State a few years ago. And this was sort of the approach that they were taking. They were looking to see what was sort of common across things from IBM, Microsoft, AWS, Google Cloud, and trying to distill that down into what are the core sort of 21st century skills that AI practitioners need for their students, right? One of the sort of benefits that they had was that they also had their National AI Research Center on campus to help guide that, and to build out the infrastructure, right? And that's sort of where discussions are going at FCC at the moment right now as well, of how do we ensure not just that we are providing students with the skills that they need, but also access to the infrastructure that they need to apply and practice these skills as well.
Yeah, I have a comment on that. And overall, this is Antonio, Miami-Dade College, and we have been doing the AI programs at the college, as Eduardo and Aaron mentioned before. And with the consortium and this framework, The framework is 100% industry agnostic. The framework is defining knowledge, skills, and abilities, in this case, mostly knowledge and skills for AI, despite of a vendor. That's to help any college implement. Then when you guys as faculty are teaching this content, what is the best way for you to align the content with particular vendors and also certifications? That's the piece that comes from a vendor, is the real tools and certifications that then the students need to get a job or to prove really master of the skill and the knowledge. That's when you decide as a faculty which vendor, which certification aligns better with the way that your local program, your personalized program at your institution, the way that you want the students to learn, the way that you want the students to get a job when they graduate. So at the end, there is a combination of both. The frameworks give you a direction, and then the vendors and specific tools give you the more the hands-on component and certification that the students will need to get a job at the end.
Antonio, since you're speaking, do you mind addressing what Vincent put in the chat, the curriculum taking a while to evaluate? We can start with you.
And what is the question?
Sometimes curriculum takes a while to evaluate and approve course and program offerings. What has been your experience or strategy with the types of offerings an institution that can be quick to market for our area? Example, contact ed, academia, adult education, or workforce development.
So overall, we as academic institutions, we're always going to be delayed. We need to go through feedback from industry. We bring this to the curriculum. We go through approval processes. If it's the first time that you do it, you need approval probably from your state. That takes time. And by the time that the curriculum is approved and you start teaching, maybe it's 1 year, 2 years later, and the AI already changed. That's why it's so important what Anne mentioned before, is the connection with industry, that you're not building this program for a one time and forever. You are building a program that you will have to modify frequently, at least once a year, based on feedback that you continue getting from industry, from your local advisory committee, your local build that you create at your institution, and that's how you keep the program, running with the latest that is happening, or at least with the less amount of delay possible. Now, you also mentioned on your question using continuing education, adult education, workforce development, that there is always a mechanism to use continuing education to move faster. But continuing education can be considered only for upskilling, reskilling purposes, not for a real degree. And what we have built with this framework is for a full associate degree for community colleges. We want the students to come up with a degree and to give you at least for 2025, what are the knowledge and skills that we know are changing already, and we are already planning the next trends meeting and build feedback to change it again for 2026. So our commitment is to continue this update nationally that you can then apply locally with your local flavor and your local industry feedback.
Thank you, Antonio. I'm gonna pick on people. So we have Becky and Jerry. Jerry, let's have Becky talk first if she can, because they went through the mentorship process this past year. So I would like to see if you have any thoughts on this. Maybe Becky's in there. Jerry?
Yes, I'm here again. So you want me to comment? Can you repeat the question again?
On the process of, curriculum can take time to evaluate and be processed, right? So what happened? What
Yep.
tips would you have?
That's a great question. So as Antonio mentioned, it could take years to get this through. So one of the things that we always consider is, or maybe even at your institution, maybe you have a special topics course that you can run every semester, and you can fit the title how you'd like. Maybe it's Introduction to AI, maybe it's Computer Vision. And then while you're hashing out your curriculum, you can maybe even still offer parallel-wise these courses as special topics. That's one way that I've seen that has been done in institutions. Does that help?
And another thing that some institutions are doing, and this varies by state as to whether it can happen. Some are putting in basically a special topic in each course that is an AI course, which then allows you to teach at least a module or two on something that is totally new that was never there before you started. And I did not think about that as a recommendation early on when I was working with Miami. I wish I had thought about that at the time. We could use that. I've been a dean in a couple of states and a VP in one, and I never would have thought about having that sort of thing in a competency list, but that would give you some leeway to be able to handle the rapidly changing industry.
Thank you. I'm just gonna keep on asking. There's a question about, do knowledge and skills for AI include math?
We did not put that in there, but we decided what particular math courses we wanted in our program. And I think you need to work with your industry to decide what level of math. In fact, that was probably the most controversial thing we had in developing curriculum, because there are portions of linear algebra and calculus and so forth that are actually required. But if you put all that math in there, you wouldn't be teaching anything else. So the reality is that you really have to ask your business and industry how much math they really want. And then, Eduardo, I think you've been doing some just-in-time training in math right before they have to use that sort of math in some of the classes.
Yeah, so we learned at MDC that just presenting, the idea of machine learning required them to know math. So as part of our machine learning course, we added math, not like super deep into it, but presenting the concepts, then very black box-y manner, saying, well, this is what you have, this is what comes out, what do we do with that? Not so important in terms of the formulas, but the use of that. But we had to present it in there because otherwise it just blows their mind. Same thing with programming, right? Python was something we had to very quickly add because our intro to AI course called AI Thinking did not have enough. It presented it a little, but it wasn't enough for them to then from there move to machine learning. There was a miss there when we first started, which we corrected after the first term. So you have to be okay with change in this in the creation of these things,
You
and
have to
things
like
change.
change, really.
Yeah, it's very hard to, like Antonio said, right? We're always behind. So that module is a great idea, right? Change a special interest course, great idea.
Any other things you're wondering about?
So there is a question on the recording, and I will be posting this on our website, as well as I'll email it to everyone in attendance. Anyone want to come off mute and ask a question?
I have a question. Dr. Beheller, I saw you, I believe it was at the NCATC conference down in Tucson, Arizona
Last week.
last week. And, I attended your panel, and I feel like what you shared was something along the lines of, with faculty, if there's an issue of not having enough faculty trained to teach the courses, that the college can provide that training for the faculty to equip more faculty. And I would love to learn a little bit more about that, like how you trained faculty and saw that work effectively, and what kinds of courses they could be trained to teach.
Well, I mentioned that because there are vendors out there that are offering free training, and through Nike or Nike, are we calling it Nike? I think I've called it one thing and the other people have called it something else. But through this consortium, there has been a lot of free training allowed and provided that you would want to participate in my opinion. That's the quickest way to get this sort of training for faculty. The conference last week was more in the manufacturing area, so the influence of AI in manufacturing is not going to be quite as detailed as it would be if you're training an AI professional. So coming up with something for for someone in manufacturing to have, I'll call it literacy versus fluency in AI. I think you could probably partake of some of those courses, that sort of thing. If you want to reach out, I can share what I know. And you definitely want to be on the list for Nike because there's been a lot of free training offered, a whole lot. And I kudos to Cynthia and Antonio and Eduardo and the rest of the team for coming up with that. Plus, you probably want to go to some of the AI summits. There was an AI summit last year in Houston. So I noticed Samir Saber was on. Anyway, that was a good opportunity to get information, perhaps a little deeper into applied AI than you want, but you'll make some really good contacts at that. And I know we have one coming up in the spring and another one next fall. So it's a lot of learning new. But Antonio, you might comment about trying to hire faculty that already had really, really heavy AI experience. Are you still on?
Yeah, I'm here, but that's definitely not the focus.
Yeah,
The,
you
at
can't.
least from a community college perspective, we have been realistic, and this is based on experience. Even having the funding is hard to compete with like universities and with AI experts who come and teach at a community college full time, not as adjuncts but full time. So our approach is upskilling, reskilling our existing faculty. That's why the consortium has been doing for free nationally for all community college faculty to have the opportunity to go through training, to be upskilled, to be certified, to learn the KSAs, to learn what's happening, and to help you as faculty already at the institution being leading the charge in the classroom. It's different for administrators and staff. You don't need AI experts for that, but definitely having a team helps. But again, the focus is always on you can have a program, but if you don't have anyone to teach that program, really you don't have anything. So the focus is on upskilling those faculty. I see a question about AI conference in Miami for 2026. No details for now. We will be releasing the specific details and information and stipend, everything that needs to be known. That's going to come potentially in 1 month. But at least, yeah, you're the first to know that this is coming at some point. Just stay in the loop with the newsletter to be the first one to know, the dates and the opportunity for faculty, especially to apply for stipend to come for free. So passing back to you, and I see a question about AI manufacturing.
I don't see the question. Oh,
Yeah, so I went ahead and I added the link to our upcoming AI in manufacturing training, as well as what's a webinar, as well as if you go into our events, you'll also see the next community of practice meeting will be based on AI in manufacturing. The topic will be that. And I'll also add the link for that as well, actually.
I also work with the National Manufacturing Center on their built team. And when it came up that we needed to have work in manufacturing with AI or AI for manufacturing, I'm really pleased that Nike has decided to work with this National NSF Center. And I think we're going to have some good resources come out of that. We do have some presentations coming up, which is good. Keep up with the newsletter.
Okay, so we only have 4 minutes left, and I did see that there was one more question on there. Where did now I lost it. So this KSA is a rich resource. What degree or certificate levels are you aiming for students to earn in using those resources?
Basically includes everything that can be all the way up to an AS, and then it's up to you as an educator to go through the list and figure out what's appropriate for certificates. I know that Miami has 2 certificates. I'm pretty sure that some of the others do too, and they've made that different in many cases. So I can't tell you how to split that, but there's enough for an AS. We did take out the BS level competencies that had been used for some of the colleges. because this is an ATE grant and ATE only focuses on AS degrees. Anything else?
Vincent asked, but Samir answered on the chat about the strategy in recruiting and developing a team. Antonio touched upon it when he was speaking about it. And so Samir put some really good advice there related to that. It really has to come from within, right? Your faculty wanting to learn and to do what's best for
Yes.
their students. So
Yeah, Eduardo, that was very helpful. Antonio, thanks so much for that additional insight. And when I visited MDC fairly recently, I met with Michael Meneno there, which was a faculty member, just a wonderful faculty member. And I'm always trying to think of strategies in terms of recruiting or soliciting for faculty members to kind of jump on board. So Eduardo, all of that's really, really great advice. I quite frankly don't have the bandwidth to, create a requisition and start recruiting people from my own institution. And so I think that one of the things that was a key takeaway from MDC for me was kind of seeking out these champions or people that are kind of already living in those spaces and just kind of piggyback off that. Is that kind of a typical practice, you think?
So I'll say that we have a mentorship, which is a big part of Nike, right? And one of the big things we focus on is, do you have admin and faculty support, right? Both pieces have to be there for you to create anything. Otherwise, it really doesn't go anywhere if one piece is missing. This, I wouldn't say the hardest part, but the hardest part at the beginning is getting that sort of worked out. Then comes the whole state and, putting the resources together. So yeah, something to think about.
Great.
I'm going to say one final comment, and that is when you're trying to get faculty that you want to work with the willing first. And when the willing are on board and really pushing forward, success breeds jealousy and others will get on board. Usually, not always. I know Ed's laughing at me, but it's true. So work with the willing first. If you've got a few that are just recalcitrant and do not want to work with you, then don't worry about it.
We listen to our peers. I may not
I
listen
know.
to my dean, but I will listen to Phil, who's my peer, right? So it's kind of like that. Let's use our network. There's Phil. Let's use our
Yeah.
network to figure out the way forward.
Totally 100% agree with you. I've been faculty too. I haven't just been an administrator, and that's kind of how it goes. I
Wonderful.
think that's it.
Yeah, and that actually leaves us right at 1 on the dot. And I want to say thank you to everyone. I think that this was it was a wonderful conversation, and I'm happy to see all the engagement and interaction. So I hope that we could continue this momentum, and I'll see you all in November. November 7th will be our next meeting, and I've already put the link into the chat. I will do it again now, just in case you missed it. But thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Peace.
Thanks all.